Good morning, Nina. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. My phone just chimed. I heard my phone like a big birdie in the background. Turn him off. How's everybody doing
You know
this?
what? I probably should turn mine off too, come to think
Don't
of it.
worry, don't
Yeah.
worry. How's everybody doing out there? Happy Monday to you, and welcome to the chat session. I'm Rodney Rippey, and we're on with Nina here, having a good Monday. How's everybody doing out
hmm
there?
I hope everybody's doing great. It's great to see you, Carrie and Jacqueline and AC and
Hmm.
Elwira.
Yeah. Oh, we got 13.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming
Yeah.
in.
And Chloe. Chloe's there too.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Well,
So,
good.
Rodney, I am so used to getting on Monday morning, and you've always been somewhere really cool over the weekend, and you're showing me these great pictures and stuff. So, y'all, I sprung a surprise on Rodney this morning. I went to a fantastic wedding over the weekend. There
Yeah,
was something special there that I wanted you to see.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I actually sent the pictures to Rodney this morning, kind of sprung that on him, and that's why we're a little late this morning. Rodney was
yeah,
gracious enough to upload those pictures so that we could show them to you today. So
yeah.
first, and Rodney, you can probably just take your cue from what I'm going to say.
Okay.
First, let me tell you a little bit about this wedding, y'all. This is a friend of mine. I've known her probably for about 35 years now.
Mm-hmm.
There she is right there. Her name is Linda, and she got married this weekend for the first
Oh,
time. She has never been married before. Yeah, this was fantastic. Her groom, his name is Brian. He was a
yeah.
widower, and I cannot begin to describe to you the mood in the
Oh,
room. There were so many people in the wedding party that all had gray hair like me. It just
wow.
felt, it was a little funny, but the exciting part about it was there was this youthful spirit in the room. It was all like we were going back to when we were in our 20s and in love for the first time. And we were just thrilled for her. And she made a gorgeous, gorgeous bride. So it was a fantastic wedding. The reception was great. Even at the reception, one of her guests, here's Linda coming down the aisle on her father's arm. Isn't
Oh,
that fantastic? I loved that.
yeah.
And I wish you could have seen the ring bearer. He had on one of those kind of like a top hat, something that you feel like you would see out of a Dickens novel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that hat right there. He was sitting in front of me after he got through doing his thing. He came and sat with his mom. He was in the pew in front of me. And I didn't get you this, but I actually took a little video of it. Right after the ceremony started, I see this yo yo coming out from the side of the pew into the aisle. And
Uh-huh.
it's the ring bearer. He's
Oh,
doing his yo-yo. So there was definitely a youthful spirit there, not just him, but everyone was feeling very celebratory. But there
mm.
was something very special that was there. It was actually a 1966 Mustang
Aha.
blue that her
Ooh.
her brother had lovingly restored over the years. Isn't that gorgeous? And
Yes.
she and her
Oh,
groom rode away in that Mustang. I wish we could zoom in on that. I know we can't, but if we could zoom in on that, there
yeah.
is on those seats, there is some kind of like
Yeah.
embroidery.
Yeah.
And if y'all remember the Mustangs, it is the horses,
Wow.
in
Yeah.
in a herd. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic?
Oh, that's beautiful. That's
Beautiful,
beautiful.
beautiful Mustang.
Oh, look at that.
Yes, and look, even the license plate. He found an antique license plate with a 66 on it, so
Nice.
that it's a 1966 Mustang. So
Wow. Well, that's
I just
beautiful.
thought that was fantastic. I had to share that with y'all. It was so
Yeah.
beautiful. But that's not what we were going to talk about today. And Linda and Brian are off on their honeymoon, so you know, and
Congratulations.
I hope they have a good one. Hey, they were going to Savannah, and
Hmm.
that hurricane is headed up
Right. Oh
through,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I hope that it's not a wash
we have to
in
pray for
Savannah.
we have to pray for everybody in the storm area. May God
Yes.
bless and take care of everybody, and it's, those things come in, and sometimes my family, they live in North Carolina, so especially on the coast, up
Mm-hmm.
Cape Hatteras, things like that. Boy, they say the storms, they roll in and they just kind of gobble up the beach and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times. So, but hopefully everybody will be all right. I talked to some of my friends last night and my brother, and he says that it seemed like it was just a little wind. So that's hopefully it didn't get all the way
Mm-hmm.
into
Mm-hmm.
in inland so much. So
I hope so. I
yeah,
hope so. I hope they'll all be safe, and we'll sure be praying for them. Yeah.
most definitely, most
So,
definitely.
oh,
Thank you
thank
for
you,
the pictures
Chloe.
and thank you for sharing your weekend. My weekend was pretty normal. I didn't have anything special. I had a friend call me, and it was kind of funny. Her husband was changing the brakes on the car, and so he had been kind of waffling about doing it. And so the wife called me and said, "Could you come and help?" So I was like, "Okay." So I go over there, and changing brakes is a kind of easy job. So within 30 minutes, we had the whole thing knocked out. We replaced the front brakes and got it. And I just took the burden off of him, and they bought me lunch, and it was nice. And so he gave me gas money. So I was like, okay, we're all fine. No big deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's nice. You're such a great guy, Rodney.
No, well, it just I know how it is when you get stuck and you
Mm-hmm.
need a little help. I tell you,
Mm-hmm.
help is something everybody out there remember. It's a good thing
True.
to be able to help someone when they
True.
need it. And sometimes, I mean, because when it comes around and you need help,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
hope that people are just as reciprocal, because man, sometimes you just need an extra hand. And I've had
Mm-hmm.
to do some pretty remarkable things on my own. I had no help,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, between moving things, and I've had to use the Egyptian logic. I mean, I literally had stuff on rollers, and I'm like, oh, and I got and was
Yes.
able to get it onto a roller system, and I'm like having
Mm-hmm.
to push and pull, and I was like, I just need half of me, not even another person. I
Mm-hmm.
just need just, but I thank God, Lord, I prayed, and oof, boy, I tell you, it's been
Mm-hmm.
rough sometimes, but it's good to help eat one another.
It
So
is. It
it's all
is.
good.
And it's even better when you have gratitude for the help that you get,
Right. Right.
rather than a feeling of entitlement. Well,
Yeah.
that's what should be
Well,
happening. And
it was a
actually,
good,
this is kind of a good segue into what I wanted to talk about today
okay.
because I'm taking a coaching course
Okay.
with Brandon Barber. Have you ever heard of him?
I heard that. I heard your message on social media, and I said, "Oh, interesting."
There you
So
go. There you
I
go.
was
So that's what I wanted to talk about. Okay. So
okay.
I'm going to explain that for our viewers. You've already heard it. So
Mm-hmm.
pardon me for telling it to you again. But so here's the way it was working. We were talking about our split personalities.
Okay.
Okay. We all have parts of our personalities, different parts. So for instance, there's the courageous Nina who would
Yeah.
run headfirst into any battle and not even think about the harm, who would stand up for the truth always and doesn't worry about who stands against her. And
Okay.
then there is timid
Timid.
Nina,
Right.
who is over there in the corner, and she's, kind of an emotional wreck, a mess. And
Okay.
she's just kind of cowering and quivering, and she's, pulling at my sleeve and saying, "Oh, don't go there, don't do that. It's not going to end well. That we're going to get hurt." And
Right.
she's the one who's, the abundance of caution. Now the
Okay.
thing is, I can't let either one of those personalities make the
Cool.
decisions
Right.
because courageous Nina would probably get us killed in a
Mm-hmm.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
And fearful Nina, timid Nina, we'd never get anywhere,
Right.
if I let her do that. So there's also Queen Nina.
Uh-huh.
Queen Nina is the one who takes, the information that she gleans from the other two. She looks at the whole situation and she makes a wise decision for
Mm-hmm.
all of us.
Right.
Now, all of them are a part of me, you
Okay.
know. But the thing is, Rodney, you know how it is. When we see that part that we don't like in us,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we tend to be at war with it. We
Right.
tend to think, "Oh, I wish she wouldn't even show up. I wish she didn't even exist." And we
Right.
keep trying to stuff her down and stuff her down,
Uh-huh.
but the more we try to stuff her down, what happens?
Yeah, you have to
She
recognize it.
pops back up. She
Right.
keeps popping back up, right?
Mm.
And the more you try to deny her existence and act like she wasn't there or wish she wasn't there, the more she pops back up because the
Mhm.
thing is, she needs to be comforted. She needs attention. She
Mm.
needs to know she's been seen and heard. And
Mhm.
actually, that's what Courageous Nina and Queen Nina need too, right?
Right,
And
right.
it's easy to give them that
Mhm.
attention because I like them,
Right,
but it's not so easy to give it to her because I don't like her.
right, right.
So, but Brandon helped me see this in a different way. He said,
Mhm.
all of these are parts of us. And the only way really to move forward is when we accept all the parts
Right.
of us and learn to be grateful for them.
Mhm.
Now, I was thinking, how do I be grateful for her? She's so fearful. She's so,
Mhm.
negative and she's everything I don't want.
Right.
But here's what Brandon helped me see. She is the way she is because basically she's got PTSD.
Aha.
She's the one who took all the hits and
Yeah.
preserved the rest of me.
Right.
She's the one, for instance, when Courageous Nina ran headlong into battle,
You got in
full
trouble.
steam ahead, charge of the light brigade, not worrying about, the consequences. Yeah, well, it was timid Nina who took all the consequences.
Yeah, I got it right.
She's the one who fell on the grenade. She's the one who took all the bullets. She's the one who took all the self-condemnation, all the self-abuse,
Mhm.
all the abuse from others, the
Right.
negativity. She's the
Mhm.
one who took it all, and that's why
Mhm.
today she is so battered and bruised and torn and broken.
Wow. Wow.
Now, when I saw her like that, now there's still something in you that says, yeah. Oh, wow. I can sure appreciate what she did to keep the rest of me, all of me
Mhm.
preserved,
Right.
but I
Mhm.
still don't want her seen. It's like I want her in the closet. I
Right.
can appreciate her, but I want her in the closet. Well, that's not really accepting her either, is it?
No,
Right?
no, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So what Brandon said was we need to learn to be thankful. And suddenly
Mhm.
he was transformed in my mind to a wounded warrior, like a soldier. And
Right.
here she is, she's missing a leg, she's missing an eye, she's battered,
Mhm.
she's broken, she's got PTSD. And I'm sitting here
Mhm.
saying to her, "Oh, wow. Well, sorry, but thanks for your service, but you're not needed anymore." And I'm
Right.
stepping her down.
Wow.
And instead, what I need to be doing and what I want to do now that I see her differently that way
Mhm.
is no, I'm not about to tell her, "Oh, well, sorry, I don't need you anymore."
Right.
I see her now and I think, "Oh,
She
man, what you
saved you.
took for us. You
That's right.
saved us.
That's right.
And you know what? We're gonna honor you.
That's
We
right.
are going to respect you and honor you, and you are coming along with us. We are not gonna get to the finish line
Mhm. Mhm.
and without you, because we wouldn't be here at all without you."
Right.
So,
That's right.
in that light, I started thinking, all right, I'm going to give her honor. I'm going to give her my respect.
Mhm.
She's going to be along with me, and I'm not going to shove her in the closet. I don't mind if people see that she's right there, pulling at my sleeve, trying to make me afraid too. You
Hmm.
know,
Aware.
instead, I'm going to be willing to tell people I'm feeling
Mhm.
afraid right now. I'm getting these messages of maybe I shouldn't do this,
Mhm.
but I know I cannot decide based on that, but I need
Mhm.
to acknowledge it. And I'm gonna listen to that part, but I'm also gonna listen to Courageous Nina over here, and I'm gonna make this wiser decision.
It sounds like, you know, we oftentimes go through stuff, and I mean, there's certain things, even with me. sometimes people say that I get involved in things probably that I shouldn't. Meaning, you know, I my phone rings a lot, and people will call me and talk to me about issues and things. And some people say that I should be more straightforward. Yes, okay, I gotta go. But the thing about this is, I've always prayed, and I really mean this. I pray and I ask the Lord to give me the best, which He has, discernment, which we all have. Do we have our receptors up, or our antennas up, pulling in that discerning spirit, so that we don't just speak out and lash out or react to whatever comes our way? I think that that's a big problem, and that's what we're seeing around the world. Are we putting ourselves in other people's shoes? Because sometimes I start to understand that people react to things, as you were saying. Some people are carrying wounds and things like that, and maybe they might be fearful, and they might prejudge a situation, and they jump out, with a reaction on certain, or they might make a comment about things. And I was like, I wasn't going there, but you went there. What made you say that? Again, a lot of people are carrying wounds and problems and or misinformation. People are taking a lot of misinformation with them, and they say that I was working in a media company here in Los Angeles, and they say on average our mind takes in 15,000 messages a day. So when you're driving, believe it or not, your mind, your eyes are recording everything in your brain. God has made us wonderfully made. Our mind is filing that image, that business on the side of that truck on the freeway, that sign, that that kitten sitting on the corner. Your mind has, believe it or not, whether you are not cognizant of it, your mind has recorded all of that stuff.
And not only that, also recorded the way it made you feel, even if it was just a flash of a second.
Exactly. And people don't realize that. And so I think, thank goodness, I used to have dreams. I mean, it was strange. I hadn't had any dreams lately, but I used to, on a busy day when I'm out and driving, and especially driving in traffic, and you're missing potholes on the freeway, man, I used to record that stuff and go to sleep, and I would replay it. I would go, and I'm driving in the bed, and I'm like, what was that? I was like, Rodney, why are you dodging a pothole? You're asleep. And I'm like, but that is how powerful our thoughts are, our words. And that's why the Bible says that we should guard our hearts and our ears and our eyes and things, because we can't take in everything that's just there and listen to everything, because it really does start to influence our life, our spiritual health, our outcome, how we talk to people and how we see things. So I think about that. So we have to be very careful of the information we pull in. And that's why we should always kind of guard our heart and be aware of how people are talking to us, what we're talking about, what we're listening to as far as music. And there's a lot of things that we have to kind of go, better be a little careful of that.
I think another reason I really appreciated what Brandon had presented here was because he was giving it to us in the context of, we already know we need to guard ourselves and not take in just everything, because all of that influences us. But on the other hand, we also know that God made us, gave us the life that He's given us, ordered our days. Our times are in His hand. And therefore, everything that He's given us, that He's put in us, the personality we have, all the personalities we have, the courageous part of us, the timid part of us, all of that together is part of who God made us. That is the whole that God made us. When we do not accept certain parts, because our attitude, whether we admit it or not, we may not be saying it this way to ourselves, but our attitude is, God, I don't like this part that you made. I don't like this
Yeah,
portion of my life, or, and I want to reject that. I wish that wasn't there. I want to get rid of it. And God is
right.
saying, no, I gave it to you for a reason.
That's right.
That is part of you. It's part of the whole. And if we want to be whole, and who doesn't, then we need to integrate all of those parts so that they're working together and not be
And
at
value
war
it,
with
and
one part
value it,
or another.
and
Yeah.
value it, because, like you said, that
Yeah,
timid Nina and the courageous Nina, they balance. That's how you're balanced, because you can't
exactly.
be 100 all the time in one direction. Because
Mhm.
I've noticed that sometimes I've needed to be stronger in certain areas, and then other times I needed to um, be more and listen. That timid Nina
Mhm.
is the one that's really listening and
Mhm.
analyzing,
Mhm.
where the bold Nina may be more vibrato, and it might just be energy, and it might just be reaction.
Right. Right.
And,
More impulsivity,
and
if
that's
you
right,
will.
being impulsive.
Right.
That's right. So
Right.
I me I'll tell you one thing. Being involved in the entertainment and media world for the years that I have, and not only just as an actor, but working around news
Mhm.
organizations. I worked for a major news organization. There was something that I noticed. Things are what they call run on delay. Things that you see on TV, believe it or not, even when it's live, there's a little bit of delay
Mhm.
on it, because
Mhm.
it needs to be, just in case of something that might not need to be broadcast.
Right.
There's a little bit of pad that somebody can hit a button and you not see it.
Mhm.
So live
Right.
really isn't live. It's got a little bit of delay on it.
Mhm.
And I've
I
always,
think they started doing that when they did end up inadvertently, because they were going live, for a
right,
while, and then they realized, "Oh, no, we ended up broadcasting some things that would
that they shouldn't.
traumatize people,
And matter of
or
fact,
that children might see, and we don't wanna traumatize them." So that's when they built in that little
exactly.
delay.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I was actually working at the news station when that actually happened, and why they put it in.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, it was serious. It was out here in Los Angeles, and we were live on it. Not see, a lot of times people don't know, when there's a helicopter that's on a chase or something crazy, a
Mhm.
lot of times they will tell all the other news agencies to pull back, and that one
Mhm.
helicopter is given a feed. You could
Mhm.
get different vantage points, but that one main one kind of starts to feed people, so they have
Mhm.
to watch that.
Mhm.
So this one main helicopter was actually on something that happened, and something did happen live, and it happened at a time where, when we went live on it, they were watching kids cartoons. It was in the afternoon, so kids were watching.
Oh,
They
wow.
interrupted, like, the afternoon cartoons, because of
Mhm.
this live breaking thing, and they were following. So
Mhm.
kids were sitting there, and they were like, "Oh, okay," and then boom, something happened live on air, and then the guy,
Mm.
I remember, because the guy said, "Pull out, pull out, pull out," but it was too late, because it,
Mhm.
it it was on camera, and so they started to add a little more buffer. The reason why I brought that up, I've always tried to incorporate into my life and my thinking a delay. I've been in the middle of a lot of situations, and I've heard people say something that was totally insulting. And I was like, Rodney, did you just hear what that person said to you? But thank God I was on that delay. And I said,
Mhm. Mhm.
don't react, think before you say something. And then I was able to still handle the situation, but I had time to think. Some people, they
Mhm.
don't have a delay, and it's always like, what did you say? What?
Yeah.
Type of thing. And you can't some people say, oh yes you can, but in certain situations, it could be just a misunderstanding or something, or somebody might
Mhm.
have misheard something, or somebody might have just misspoke. And then you don't want to go from 0 to 100 all.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I try to, in my you know logic, I try to be on a delay. So I like to think before I
Mhm.
respond.
Mhm.
And then and not just me, I try to keep the Lord out front. I'm like, because when things happen,
Right.
oh Lord, Rodney, how would the Lord do
Right.
this? And I'm trying to think, I'm probably gonna miss it, but I'm gonna try to hold on and grab onto his, grab
Yeah.
onto his robe
Yeah.
as much as I can and try to do the best I can with this. And then,
I think that's very important and very
yeah,
helpful to be
right,
able to, even in a split second, to in any situation to be
yep,
saying, Lord, what is it you want me to know about this situation?
exactly.
You know, what is it I don't know about this situation? Or what is it I'm misreading about this situation?
Mhm.
And what do you want me to do with that information?
And learn.
Whatever it is you're going to show me, what do
That's
you want
right.
me to do with that?
That's right. And a lot of times I think about this stuff and I go, okay, this is a teaching moment. You could have
Mhm.
reacted two different ways on this thing. This thing just now happened. And my brain is like, woo, and fast forward. I'm like, okay, I just heard this. Lord, how am I supposed to react? And then I'm trying to figure out, is it justice? Is it emotion?
Mhm. Mhm.
Should I protect myself? Should I flee? You got to put all that in, and your brain has to be. That's why we have to always be very sharp. We really
Yeah.
need to be on and see. And again, that's why the word says always be sober in mind, because so many times people are just medicated and it just go with the flow, and there's things, there's alcohol and other substances and things, and
Mhm.
you just aren't sharp. You
Mhm.
just are not as sharp as you're supposed to be. So we look and learn from all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love being whole, and you have to accept all of you, and
Mhm.
whatever is really flawed, which we all have flaws, that we can work on, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's not saying, I'm not trying to say that there's, I know not just a few, it seems like just a few short years ago now, but there came a season in my life where I felt completely shattered. I
Yeah,
mean, shattered, like I was just in little shards. And I thought, and I don't even know how to put this back together. I mean, there's too many little shards, there's too much, and even if you put it back together, I kind of imagine myself being, like a glued together vase that somehow you glued together from all these little shards. And it's
yeah,
like, yeah, no one's ever going to want to use that.
yeah.
It's too fragile. It would just fall apart. And that's the way I saw myself as being, maybe the rest of my life. But God showed me a different picture. It was God who was showing me, yeah, you feel shattered. I get that. It's okay. That's human for you to feel shattered. But
Right,
what you think is happening is not what's happening.
right.
You know, there's something different going on here. There's a context that you don't have. And I know I've told you that what I call my elephant story before. Do you remember that?
I think remind me again.
All right. So if y'all haven't heard it, here's my elephant story. So when God was showing this to me, and like I said, I felt so absolutely shattered. And I resented what was happening to me. I deeply resented it. And I had people that I needed to forgive, that I wanted to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actively working on forgiving them, but there was stuff still going on.
Right.
And it seemed like every time I was working on forgiving one thing, there would be something else that would happen. I was going to need to forgive that too.
Wow.
And after a while, I began to realize I'm losing ground here. I'm getting behind. There's starting to be so many things. And I feel like this is all I'm doing now is actively trying to forgive. It's like consuming my whole life. And one day I'm driving to church and I'm praying and I'm trying to, forgive these particular things. And I finally just got real with God and I said, I need you to show up right now. I am losing ground. I feel myself sliding into to bitterness and I can't seem to stop it. And I want
Mhm.
to forgive but it's so much, it's overwhelming and I don't know how to do this. And I
Mhm.
need you to show up, God, because I feel like my whole life is about this right now. And I can't imagine in the future that my whole life is ever going to be about anything else.
Mhm.
And I don't want this to be my life. I don't want my whole life to be about just trying to forgive these ongoing offenses that are going on. So I
Mhm.
need you to show up, God. I
Right.
need you to do for me what I cannot do. I need to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, you
Right.
know. So what can you do for me? How are you
Right.
going to help me? And
Right.
right then God gave me this picture and he said, what are you trying to do? And I said, here's what I'm trying to do, God. Here's the picture in my mind. I'm trying to eat an elephant. And we all know how to eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? But
Right.
I had pictured myself sitting at this little table with this enormous elephant on it.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting at the end that's got the tail right toward my face.
Yeah.
And I've been chewing on that tail and I've been chewing on it for like
Yeah.
months now. And I'm not making any progress with eating this elephant. And I'm
Right.
thinking, yeah, one bite at a time, but this one bite is taking me forever. And I'm thinking, I'm going to spend the rest of my life eating this elephant. And I told
Mhm.
God, honestly, well, God, I've been eating on this elephant for, these last 2 months. And all I know right now is that I don't like the taste of elephant. I just don't like it. And I'm
Right.
not making any progress. And it bothers me that I did not choose this, but here it is in my lap. It happened to me, and I've
Mhm.
got to somehow sit here and eat this elephant while everybody else is off not eating elephant,
Right.
you know? I felt so isolated. And suddenly God said, "Look again." And I saw the whole thing in my mind again, and suddenly I saw Jesus sitting there next to me. And he was smiling at me, smiling into my face, and he was
Wow.
talking kindly to me, and I thought, "I
Hmm.
still have to eat this elephant, but, I guess as long as you're sitting here with me and you're talking to me and I know you still love me, I guess I can do this." Just having him there, knowing he was there made a difference. And next thing I knew, my heart felt light, and I felt so relieved to know that God was really there with me, made it apparent. So I'm driving on to church and I'm actually feeling kind of good and thinking, "Wow, Lord, thank you for that. Thank you for making that plain to me." And then I
Mhm.
get to church and I'm sitting there listening to the sermon. I have no idea now what it was about. And all of a sudden, God speaks to me again. He says, "Oh, by the way, Nina, that wasn't an elephant you were eating." I said, "Okay, what was it?" And he says, "This is my body broken for you.
Wow.
Taste and see that the Lord is good." And all of the sudden, that vision I had had of me sitting there alone eating this elephant, instead, that elephant turns into this enormous banquet table. And there
Mm.
is every good food on it. And I realized this is the Lord's feast. We're all feasting on him, and for the first time, I look around and I see that there are other people around the
Mhm.
table, and
Wow.
some of them are wolfing down the food and saying, it's good, eat it," and there are others who are sitting there kinda like me going, "Is this really happening? Wow," and there are others who are just coming to the table, and they're like, I can't wrap my head around this. What I
Yeah.
thought I was eating an elephant, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And I realized then God has given each one of us, when we're faced with eating that nasty elephant, really what He's given us is the opportunity to partake of Him,
Right.
in that situation, to have more of Jesus,
Yeah.
to partake of Jesus and taste and see that the Lord is good. And that changed my entire perspective. I suddenly knew I'm not alone in this.
Right.
And this is not something nasty he's given me. Yes, it's hard, and yes, I haven't liked it, but he has actually changed my heart and changed my
Mhm.
mind and my thinking where I do
Mhm.
not see it in this nasty way anymore. And I think that's the same way I was seeing the timid Nina, you know.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
she's awful. I don't like her. I don't want to, push that away, push that down. But
Mhm.
no, God is saying, no, this is part of the whole. This is
There you
part
go.
of you, and all of it is good. When I made you, all of it is
That's right.
good.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I mean, I think that, sometimes in weakness, some of the areas are they are to be valued. Even some of our,
Mhm.
our strengths are to be celebrated. Our weaknesses should be celebrated because it keeps you real. It keeps you're human,
Mhm.
and I mean,
Mhm.
some people want to shut off their emotions to certain things, but at sometimes those emotions are what make us real and make us compassionate.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if you always feel like Superwoman or Superman all the time, you have no, compassion for somebody who might not be as strong as you are. And some people go, "Oh, well,
Mhm.
just stand up and get, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, get it together."
Mhm.
Some people,
Mhm.
but when you have that compassion, when you see your own weakness, you might be a little more understanding of other people's weaknesses, and then
Ye
not making
yes.
excuses, not making
Yes.
excuses, but at least
And
you're a little
and
bit.
not only yeah, but not only that, Rodney, there are times when I think that we don't understand what weakness really is, because we see certain things and we know how it makes us feel, "Oh, that makes me feel helpless." So we
Right.
think that's a weakness. But really God is saying to us, "Actually, no, that right there is your superpower."
That's right.
That is, it is not a weakness. Think
That's
of
right.
it this way. There's a line in a song, a Michael Card song that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, when we in our weakness believed we were strong, he became helpless to show we were wrong. Jesus became helpless.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
He had everything. He had everything, all the power, all authority
And
that
he put
God
it in.
has in heaven, and he became helpless, came to earth
Yeah.
as a baby, subjected himself to everything, made himself helpless, and then at the end, the death that he died,
Yeah.
again, he made himself helpless. He submitted himself completely to the Father to the
Mhm.
point of death and died,
Yeah.
knowing that if he's really dead, and he really was, that
Yeah.
he would have to wait for God to resurrect him.
Yeah.
That is helplessness. And
That's
he
true.
did that, and God resurrected him, and God said, "And because he's done this, I have exalted him, and his name is above every name."
That's right. Wow. 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 Wow.
So, what if those weaknesses that we think we have
Mm-hmm.
is actually what God is wanting to exalt, is actually a position of the helplessness that we feel is actually our
Mhm.
position of strength because
Yeah.
we turn to God then and wait for him to act, and we get to see his glory.
That's right. Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, we have to look at the whole, take the whole blessing of
Mhm.
all that we are, and and
Yeah.
um, and know that we're wonderfully made. So it's nothing to really kick ourselves about, but we have to say, okay, this is who we are. This is who I am, and you just make the most of what you are.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we can always better someone. Chloe had wrote, the older I get, the more that little Sunday school song, oh, be careful, little eyes of what you see, be careful of the ears of what you hear. So true.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
true.
You're right, Chloe, because there's so much out there that would lie to us and
That's
try
right.
to make us believe the lies that we aren't fearfully and wonderfully made, that we don't have everything pertaining to godliness, that God has abandoned us. Like that's the whole reason I was in so much despair and felt so shattered because I
Yeah.
felt like God had, taken his hands off of me, had rendered me, allowed all these things to happen to me, had rendered me
Hmm.
useless and helpless.
Well, and that just goes to show we all have something to add, even in some of our worst moments. I mean, we've all have lost loved ones and things like that, and how we get through it
Mhm.
can be so important to somebody else who might be entering that. The fact that it might have been rough, that we survived, we got through those things, but we
Mhm.
have that strength, and then we could say, you can turn to someone else and say, hey, listen, there's a difference between uh, what is it, empathy and sympathy.
Yes.
Empathy is when you've been through it, correct? I think that's
Mhm.
right. Yeah, when you
Yes, empathy is when you've been through
been
it
through,
yourself
right?
and you
Yeah,
yeah,
and
you
sympathy is
feel it along with them because you've been through it already.
that's right. And so being able to, the things that we have encountered give us empathy for others, and then and so that now it's not just a sympathetic, like, oh, I feel you, but we really have been there. We all have been through various things, and so that's how we can learn and pass it on and help
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever find yourself sometimes, Rodney, when you hear somebody is going through something rough? I mean, there's part of us that
Yeah.
uh, that has that, oh, I remember what that felt like is, and I know they're feeling this way right now too. And you
Mhm.
just have so much sympathy for them. You
Mhm.
hurt for them. Your heart
Mhm.
aches for them. But if you have been through it before and God has brought you through, and you also
Mhm.
remember those sweet moments where God made himself apparent,
Right,
you
right.
know, and you think of those too, and you think, oh, this person's about to experience some of that too.
Yeah.
And there's a little something in you that feels like, wow, I'm excited for them. I mean,
Yeah.
I hurt for them because I know they're hurting right now, but I'm
Right, right.
excited for them because they're
There,
about to find out too what God
that's
showed
right.
me.
That is so true. I'll never
Yeah.
forget. I was at the hospital. Me and my father, my mom was in the hospital, and it was one night. Me and my dad went to go visit my mom. These were her. She was at the hospital, and she wasn't doing very well at that time.
Mhm.
And me and my dad came out of the hospital, and he was very sad. I mean, just you could tell he was down. I was down, and we were
Mhm.
walking across the parking lot from a hospital. It was late at night. It was dark. There was just a few cars in the parking lot. There was no one out there, and we were
Mm.
walking. And my dad wasn't saying anything because my head was, from what we had just saw. Mom wasn't doing very well, so we were walking.
Mhm.
And my dad, my dad just out of nowhere goes, found me $1, and he picked up $1 off the ground. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. So we keep walking. And then I said, mm, found me $1. And my dad said, okay. So we kept walking. And a couple seconds later, I said, found me $5. And my dad
Whoa.
said, man, where you? And then next thing you know, there was a 20. And I'm telling you, this parking lot wasn't nobody out there. And we was like, Daddy said, man, where's all this money coming from? And before we know it, it was like, and then there was another. This money was just coming from nowhere, just blowing across the parking lot. And I mean, this had to be about 12:45 at night. And I'm like,
Wow.
and we picked this money up, and me and my dad were standing there looking at each other, and we just looked around the parking lot and looked at this money in our hands, and we just looked at each other, and we just busted out laughing. And then it went
Mhm.
from laughter to tears, but I'll never forget that. I was just like, where, what, and I know it was something silly, and I know it was superficial because it was money, but it was just the way it happened because we were walking, and my
Mhm.
dad just said, found me $1. And I was just like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. So I'm walking, and then I was like, found me $1. And my
Yeah.
dad, look, and then all of a sudden, I think by the time we finished, I think that there was like another 20, and then my dad found a 10, and it was just like this money was just like laying in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there were no other cars around, and we just sat there and looked at each other, and then I instantly knew there was something about that because we both were so heavily burdened. We were so heavily
Yes.
burdened.
Yes. It was like God had his way for both
Yeah,
of you at the same time, for you to be able to share that
I'll
moment
never
where
forget.
God is making it evident, I see you. You
Exactly.
know, I
Exactly.
am there with you. I'm not
Yeah.
the first one you found, that could have been a coincidence. You're
Yeah.
thinking, maybe even the second one. But
Yeah.
then as you start finding more and more, you both begin to realize this is not a coincidence.
Yeah. And the thing was what my dad said. My dad spun around. He goes, "Man, where's all this money coming from?" I was like, "Man, I don't know." He goes, and I was like, "Daddy, there's another 10." I think it was like $36 by the time we got done. And we were standing there just looking at each other. And we were just standing there looking around the parking lot. Wasn't a soul in the parking lot. It was only me and him. And my dad said, "That don't make any sense." And I was like, and then I was just like, "Hey." And that it just kind of shifted our mood just a little bit. But I was just like, wow, I was just like, and I thought about that. I said, because the Lord knew how heavily I felt at that moment. I just felt, because I could barely pick my feet up. I'm just shuffling across the parking lot, and I was just thinking like, I had so many thoughts going through my mind at that moment. But when my dad found that $1, and it started that whole chain reaction, I'll never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that knowledge, knowing God's presence
Yeah.
it changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It changes
It puts
everything.
you
And
something
even when your
that's true.
circumstances don't change, knowing He's there
Yeah.
changes everything
And
about how you
that,
see it, how you feel about it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's what reminded me. I said, the Lord knew how we were feeling. And I started thinking, I said, the Lord knew how, as bad as I feel, I know Dad feels even worse, because,
Yeah.
and I was just like, and then it just made everything better. So, yeah.
That's a great story. I love
Yeah.
that, Rodney.
True story. True story. Yeah.
Great story.
Well,
Well,
Nina,
we got a few minutes left here, so let's
yeah.
see what some of y'all are saying here in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Some people. One person said, we were talking about things. They say, well, people have no clue outside their own minds. Sometimes it's a vicious circle. Yeah, and sometimes it makes people entitled. Yeah, sometimes people, who are a little more chop, and they're a little rough on people. Yeah, people are a little, locked in on themselves. They don't see other people. So, yeah.
Yep, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
But you know what? We can help change that.
That's
You
right.
know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying? Just like fear begets more fear,
Yeah.
bravery begets more bravery. You see one person stand up and be brave, and everybody else is like, yeah, yeah, and they start following that person and being
Yeah.
brave too. In the same way, gratitude begets gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
And,
if we choose that
uh-huh.
gratitude, and if we consciously and mindfully make
Mm-hmm.
a point of thanking people.
Right. Right. And it's also, and that's what the scripture says, let your light shine. We have to let
Yeah.
our light shine. And we have to, be that salt of the earth. We really do. I mean,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
people expect it. And so every opportunity that we have to really let the Lord come out in our lives,
Mhm.
the better off we are, the better off society is, because a lot of times we don't think that people are watching and listening, but they are.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
and we have to be, you know, as followers of Christ, we have a responsibility to do better and to, and no, we ain't perfect. We don't hit the mark all the time, but at least you need to be pointing towards it, and referencing it to the best of our ability. So, yeah.
Well, let me start then, since I'm saying, hey, everybody, I want you to, there you go. I am a testimony.
Yeah.
And y'all, you can get one of those t-shirts.
Yeah, that's right.
Rodney can tell you where.
Yeah, my colleague's t-shirt, he sent me this wonderful t-shirt. I am a testimony. Yeah. Really nice feel and nice quality, and I have to get him on and actually talk to him, but he's a wonderful guy.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, anyway, because I was just saying, if we express more thankfulness ourselves, then we help foster more thankfulness out in the world, right? So let me start right here by telling you, Rodney, how grateful I am for you.
Oh, I appreciate
that. And it's not just because, although I am very grateful for this, you at the last minute, you didn't fuss at me for saying, oh, well, why'd you send me these pictures so late? And, you just did your best to get them up there and everything. But it's not just because you did that today. It's because that's your attitude every day.
Oh, well,
I love hearing how over and over again, this is what I see in you, that you always endeavor to stay upbeat, that you always try to think the best of people, and you choose to be forgiving, and you're always, putting your best into things. And I thank you for putting that up there. And I really, really appreciate that about you. I know that it's been a blessing to me so many times. And I just had to tell you that because I probably never have, but I wanted to.
Well, I appreciate that. And and I appreciate you being, you being so real, and being so transparent about your life, and because it helps others. We got Mama Mia. We hadn't talked to Mama Mia lately. We have to bring Mama Mia back.
Yes, we do. We sure do.
And also, but it's very inspirational to hear you still upbeat and being able to inspire others and things like that. And you do a fantastic job. And a lot of my different colleagues, I've had people who have watched the show, and they say so many wonderful, nice things about you too. They say, "Oh, Nina's so sweet," and everything. And so it's funny. Look, here's one from Chloe. There you go, one from Chloe.
Oh, thanks, Chloe. Thank you for that. That's very encouraging.
But that's what we, and I appreciate you too, Nina, and I also appreciate the This Way Network. I appreciate Michael. I appreciate Gina, who's behind the scenes working.
And helping Shout out to Gina. Absolutely. I tell you what, Gina puts up with a lot. We're often late getting
sometimes we're a little last minute. Sometimes
but I tell you what, she has a heart of gold.
Yes.
And she is I don't know. I have to appreciate her loyalty, her faithfulness.
Yeah.
And when she believes in something, she is willing to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
To see that advance. And she's done that with the This Way Network. She's made personal sacrifices.
Right.
To see the gospel of Jesus get out this way, and projects being promoted that are going to exalt Christ.
Yeah.
Because she believes in them so much.
That's right. And
she's phenomenal.
Yep. She's a hard worker, and she makes stuff happen, and we appreciate that. And we appreciate everybody that has worked. And matter of fact, you go on the This Way Network, and you will see other shows and other people who are so dedicated to coming on and talking about these issues and keeping a different perspective out there. And so we're very fortunate, and I'm fortunate to be with you and us having the fun that we have every Monday. And I hope that the viewers out there enjoy it. I hope that you come away
Mhm.
from the show every time with a little something special for your life and a nice
Mhm.
kickoff and a boost for the week.
Yeah, and thank you. A thank you to you, our viewers, for being here with
Yeah.
us every week. We appreciate your support more than we can tell you. And
Tell a
I
friend.
have to say, there's been many times y'all have dropped things in the comments that, informed us or left me thinking of a different aspect on something that I hadn't
Right.
considered before. I just so appreciate all
Yeah.
of you.
Carrie, AC, Elvira, everybody, thank you so much. And we appreciate that. Carrie and Carrie says, nice chat. Okay, very nice chat. Thank you, Nina Ronnie. Oh, awesome. You too. Definitely have a wonderful day. Definitely appreciate that.
Yes, we
So,
hope all of you will too. All right, so last words, Rodney.
okay.
Last words. What do you want to finish with?
Well, I just pray that we have a great week, that everybody, whatever it is that you're thinking about, whatever those challenges are, always know that God is with you. We're praying for you. Pray for us as well. And
Mhm.
have a great, great day. And keep looking forward. Keep looking forward. Great things are coming. Whatever that breakthrough is that you need, it's going to happen. Keep believing that. Keep looking up. It's going to come your way.
Amen. Amen. And y'all keep practicing that attitude of gratitude. You'll be surprised how God reveals himself in it. And be of good courage because God is with us and we aren't alone.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. We love you all. Have a great week.
God bless. Have a great day.